and students, come to Bogota. And like all good Latinos, we know how to enjoy life. The best Latin nightlife and live music, world-class restaurants, 6 open-air festivals of different music styles, professional film, music, arts, fashion, and food markets. Hey, because here we call chicken soup ajiaco, cheese buns almojábana, and buses, well, Transmilenio. I would like to show you more things, but I know you don't have that much time. That's why I'd like to invite you to discover more about us and see that what I'm telling you is true. That's in the words of those who dare to do business with us. Those who set out on an adventure to explore, discover, savor, and have fun in Bogota. We are here to help you set up in Bogota, succeed in business, and discover the huge opportunities that the city holds. And this is our team. Say hi, guys. The best partner you can find.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Hello. Okay, let me just call in my co-host for this evening, Beatriz.
Hola, buenos días a todos en Colombia. Gracias por estar con nosotros hoy.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, good morning to our friends in Colombia. Good evening to our friends here in Manila. My name is Jay Santisteban, and I'm from the Contact Center Association of the Philippines, and I am joined by Beatriz Eugenia Barreto Escobar of Pro Colombia, who is calling in from Indonesia. We are a very international, group tonight. Before we begin, I would just like to remind everybody that you please turn off your microphones for the rest of the session for tonight. If you have questions, you can type it, you can write it in the chat box down below. You can write it in English, in Spanish, in Filipino, doesn't matter. We'll be able to we have translators here who can do the translating, and if there are questions that we won't be able to answer, we will be we'll make sure that we email the answer to you. All right. Back to you, Beatriz. You have some announcements?
Thank you, Jay. Thanks to all fans of the CCAP, Pro Colombia, Invest in Bogota, and the private sector. Welcome to this joint conference. It is a pleasure for us to have such a nice panel today. I would like to start by highlighting that this year is the 76th anniversary since Colombia and the Philippines established a solid path for what has been a productive diplomatic relation based on a natural cultural proximity as developing countries, a common story as Spanish colonies, and a strong commitment towards important shared issues that have impacted our respective national agendas. That's why our vision as a government is to keep learning from each other to overcome the challenges of competing a changing world. Today's sessions will be focused on sharing experience of what is being one of the key sectors for the economic development of the Philippines and what is projected to be the cornerstone for the economic growth of Colombia in the upcoming years. We will start with some words from the President of the Contact Center Association of the Philippines, followed by a short intervention from our Pro Colombia Vice President for Investment Promotion. This will serve as an introduction to top-class keynote speakers that will show us some of the essential aspects around the business process outsourcing industry in both nations. After that, we will join an interesting discussion panel with members from both BPO ecosystems, the Colombian and the Filipino, that will reflect the strength of this industry in both countries and what companies could expect from the next upcoming years. Thank you very much for the massive interest in taking part of this important event that surely will serve as a first step for further collaborations between our two sister nations.
All right, gracias, Beatriz. We're very excited to have this opportunity to get to know our Colombian brothers and sisters. As mentioned by Beatriz, we do have a shared history of the Philippines was under Spain for 330 años. We do have we are the Latinos of Asia. Our names
right.
our names are testament to that. Our streets are named in Spanish. We have Ayala, Boulevard, España Avenue in Manila. You will meet a lot of Filipinos with the same name: Garcia, Santos, Reyes, Marquez, Enriquez. Even Barreto.
Even Barreto, yes.
Even Barreto. We've been telling Beatriz that the Barretos are a very beautiful family here in the Philippines. Okay, so let us continue, and it is our pleasure to introduce to you, to welcome everybody in this event, the president of the Contact Center Association of the Philippines, Mr. Albert Mitchell Locsin. Hi, Mitch.
Thank you, Jay. Hello. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Beatriz. Before anything else, I'd just like to say thank you again to the initiative that Pro Colombia made. They actually contacted us and wanted to do this event. It's more like a business matching or ease of doing business in trying to strengthen the partnership between both Colombia and in the Philippines in terms of the BPO industry. Thank you again to Pro Colombia, Beatriz, Diego, and to the rest of the Pro Colombia team. Much appreciated. As you can see, we already have 52 attendees. That's from both groups, of course. I have a few friends here that I'd like to thank. First of all, I'd like to mention that I have a few board of trustees that are with me here today or tonight. And that's basically Mickey Ocampo, who is also going to give a quick presentation about the Philippines and the industry. I have Butch Valenzuela, who's here as well from Visaya KPO. And I know we have here also Romel Regino from Inspiro Corporation. I have a few friends here as well. Thank you, Joey, for attending from Teleperformance. I see Pushkar's name here. I see Richard Eldridge, Heidi, of course, Khalid, Harium, and many other of my Filipino colleagues or Filipino BPO colleagues that are here with us tonight. So I'm just happy to mention that we have a good attendance, and hopefully we have an eventful activity tonight. We can share best practices, we can share the ease of doing business, and basically share some insights on the similarities of both countries and how we can strengthen that partnership to bring more businesses and opportunities of employment to both countries. Thank you again for giving me this opportunity. I don't think I should delay this anymore. We have
I would like to introduce Juliana Gomez, VP Investment Promotion from ProColombia. I leave the floor to Juliana.
I would like to begin by thanking the Contact Center Association of the Philippines and its president, Mr. Albert Mitchell Locsin. Kind regards to our director of our office in Indonesia and the Philippines, Beatriz Barreto, and the operations director at CCAP, Jay Santisteban. I would also like to thank the teams of ProColombia, Invest in Bogota, and the CCAP that have made possible this event, and all our gratitude to the business leaders gathered here today. Good morning in Colombia, and good evening in the Philippines. We are delighted to share this meeting with such a select and interesting group of Filipinos business leaders. I would like to take advantage of this opportunity to share with you some key messages regarding the BPO sector in Colombia. Colombia enjoys some solid fundamentals that allow us to ensure that we are a strategic destination for BPO investments and to provide technology-based services to the rest of the world. Let me name a few of them. Colombia has consolidated its position as a BPO services hub in Latin America. Colombia also has the required availability and quality along with competitive costs of human talent for BPO projects. As a matter of fact, Colombia has a great mass of bilingual graduates in careers that are related to the BPO sector. most of them coming from highly ranked universities by international standards. The policy framework and the regulatory environment are favorable to the development of BPO services as well. We also enjoy good connectivity, and we are a dynamic and very well located market, which also enables us as a strategic platform for reaching other countries in the region. Colombia has the third largest market for BPO in the region, which allows us for scaling up the offer. In fact, Colombia ranked first in the Offshore Confidence Index 2021, with great performances in categories such as government support BPO and infrastructure coherence. According to the data from the Colombian Association of BPO, which is called BPRO, the business process outsourcing sector represents 2.5% of our national GDP. It is an important generator of employment, providing jobs to around 600,000 people around Colombia. Having said that, I would also like to share with you other statistics related to the work that we have provided at ProColombia to supporting this sector. During the last 5 years, BPO and KPO experts from Colombia have had a compound annual growth of 18% according to our national statistic system. During 2021, around $1.9 billion were registered in terms of exports, corresponding to a 26 growth compared to 2020. And when it comes to foreign direct investment, during the last 5 years at ProColombia, we've facilitated the arrival of 80 projects around worth 269 billion, according to the investment estimates that will generate over 5,000 jobs in our country. Of course, we want to keep increasing these figures, and we certainly believe that this is the right time to do so because Colombia is in the best shape. More than ever, in the middle of our third anniversary of ProColombia, we're fully committed to make sure that we accomplish this goal. We are sure the foreign capital and the technology-based services are key enablers of the growth, the knowledge building, and the development for our country and its regions, as they have played a fundamental role in the growth of our economy. We are a unique country with solid fundamentals that aim to ensure that foreign direct investment in Colombia thrives. I would like to keep highlighting our political stability, our skilled labor force, the robust innovation ecosystem, and the dynamic of our growing economy. Considering that Colombia is the most biodiverse country per square meter in the world, we're fully committed to sustainability, and we're determined to capitalize our potential when it comes to attracting sustainable projects. We're convinced that major social transformation must go hand in hand with progress. And it is here we are attracting investment for social equity and sustainable and human capital development as an essential factor. To conclude, we are more than ready to show why Colombia is the most welcoming place for BPO and technology-based services. Please count on ProColombia. We are ready to assist you to ensure that your relationship with our country transforms into a profitable and prosperous business. Please count on ProColombia. Thank you very much.
All right. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias, Juliana. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to introduce to you and give you a briefing of the BPO industry in the Philippines. And it's my pleasure to introduce our presenter, who is one of the board trustees of the Contact Center Association of the Philippines, Mr. Miguel Mickey Ocampo. Mickey, take it away.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to everybody. Just a moment, I will just share my screen. All right. So in the Philippines, when we welcome new visitors and friends, we say mabuhay. Mabuhay means welcome. So today I'll give you an introduction on the IT BPM industry in the Philippines. So let's get started. The Philippines is a major IT player in the IT business process management globally. We're number 2 in the list of top countries for total IT BPM services in the world, and we are number 1 in terms of contact center services. This was established in the year 2010. So what are the different sectors under the IT BPM industry? We have the contact center and the business process, which is headed by the CCAP, that's us. We have more than 1 million employees providing omni-channel digital delivery of services. We have a large talent pool, very highly proficient in English and multilingual competence. And we're growing non-voice and digital capabilities. Aside from the CCAP, we also have the global in-house contact center council of the Philippines. This is composed of global shared services. These are all uh, companies that have set up shop here in the Philippines with a total of 165,000 employees. This is the second largest based on headcount, providing high-value back office, voice, and IT support functions. Large presence of BFSI, tech, and manufacturing for captive services. Third in line for IT BPM is the IT and software industry, which is part of the Philippine Software Industry Association, where you have 160,000 employees with a strong foundation in traditional IT services. We have a strong, steady supply of technical and engineering talent with high technical aptitude, and we support both the US, EMI, and APAC markets. In terms of healthcare, this sector is under the Healthcare Information Management Association of the Philippines, or HIMAP, where you have more than 155,000 employees. This is one of the biggest, fastest growing offshore locations for healthcare payer outsourcing. We have a large pool of medical professionals, including US licensed nurses with growing capabilities in high value services. Moving forward, we have two of the other smaller councils for animation and for game development. We have the Animation Council of the Philippines with over 5,000 employees, and the Game Development Association of the Philippines, also with over 5,000 employees. Both industries offer end-to-end creative, post-production, pre-production services. Key clients include Walt Disney, Cartoon Network, DreamWorks, Nintendo, Warner Brothers. We also have a large pool of creative animators and game developers. All right, so just to give an idea of the size of the revenue of the IT BPM market, as you can see the infographic as it's moving along from 2007, it has been on a steady pace of growth from about 4.5 billion in 2007, moving up towards about 29.5 billion US dollars of revenue in 2021, employing 1.44 million full-time employees as of 2021. Significantly in 2020, I'd like to add, even during the time of the pandemic, the IT BPM industry was still able to grow. So in terms of the whole industry, the contact center, we handle about 25, we brought in 25 billion in revenue, which is equivalent to 85% of the IT BPM management industry as a whole. We're number one in contact center services since 2010, with an average of 8 to 9% growth in revenue and employees, with over 1 million employees employed in the industry, which is 85% of the IT BPM industry. So here, please allow me to give you a quick rundown of the global industry verticals which we are supporting. We do telecoms, banking, high technology, retail, healthcare, travel and hospitality, power, transportation, entertainment, electronics, pharmaceuticals, food processing, education, automotive, government services, news media, and much, much more. So just to give you an idea of the type of jobs that are done in the Philippines, we range from simple, mid-level to high-level tasks. So simple tasks as customer service, tier 1, covering retail, travel, hotel accounts, outbound telemarketing. To the mid-level, where it's a second tier 2 level for technical support level 1, travel specialists, healthcare account specialists, moderators, and the like. And over to tier 3, which is the higher level task for project specialists, healthcare claims specialists, financial planning, clinical data, analysts for information security, business analysts, artificial intelligence developers, and VR and AR animation. Now, for the geographies which our country supports, we support the countries in North America, Latin America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific. So thank you for the opportunity to make the presentation, and I hope that we were able to give you an insight into how our IT BPM industry in the Philippines.
Thank you very much. Maraming salamat, Mickey. Thank you so much. Back to you, Beatrice.
Thank you, Mitchell, thank you, Jay. Moving on, we had with us Camilo and Danielle, both Senior Investment Officer from Invest Bogota and ProColombia, respectively. They will be addressing the Colombia BPO industry challenges and opportunities for investment. Thank you very much for your participation today. I leave you the floor, Camilo and Danielle.
Thank you very much, Beatriz. It's a great pleasure to be part of this great initiative. In the next minutes, we're gonna be sharing with you some of the key essentials of what makes Colombia a nearshore hub operation, or a nearshore natural hub for nearshore operations in the BPO sector. And afterwards, we're going to be introducing Bogota as one of the most competitive destinations in a country to host this operation. So let me quickly share my screen. Perfect. So let me start from this 5 reasons to invest in the sector, in the BPO sector in Colombia. Basically, the BPO sector in Colombia is a natural combination of 5 or different sort of points of competition that makes our country very much attractive for the industry, especially to get closer to potential clients in the U.S. market and the Latin American market. So let me start from the growth of the sector. Colombia has one of the most mature service industries in the region. So basically, Colombia represents the 3rd largest BPO market of Latin America by sales. As you may see, only overcome by Brazil and Mexico. There are, which are totally different markets in the region. And in terms of the growth rate of the sector in Colombia, we have accounted a total of 13% compound rate since 2017, which is very much important during the pandemic times and the effects on the economy from the COVID-19. Then I would like to talk about the ideal conditions, the combination of these conditions that have made the sector to constantly grow. Basically, the sector is a naturally export-oriented sector. So from Colombia, we're serving clients in the US, in Spain, for example, in the Latin American region. So in terms of exports, the sector as a whole has grown a lot, 18% of compound growth over the last years, over the last 5 years. Additionally, we see that Colombia offers the 3rd labor market, the 3rd most important labor market of Latin America, with a population size similar to countries such as South Korea or Spain. In Colombia, we are 51 million inhabitants, which means high availability of talent, high consumption, high skilled talent. Before the operation of this type of businesses. Additionally, we are located in the middle of 5 time zones in Latin America, so which logistically, with a logistical proximity to the U.S. market, especially, for example, direct connections, flight connections with cities such as New York, Toronto, and Miami, for example. Only 6 hours by plane, for example, to the most far away cities of Latin America. So this is a central position that has been considered as a key fundamental for BPO companies to establish nearshore operations in the country. Additionally, we have one of the most competitive infrastructure and real estate costs of Latin America, one of the most competitive ones. Probably the most relevant cities in Colombia are Bogota, Barranquilla, Cali, and Medellin. Bogota, of course, concentrates the major part of this offer, this competitive offer in terms of real estate. So we have very competitive costs, but also world-class facilities to operate from Colombia. We also offer one of the cheapest internet costs of the region, and also more stable internet connection of the region, especially considering the existence of multiple submarine cables crossing Colombia. So this is pretty much the reason that we can offer internet at low cost and very fast internet, and very reliable and stable connection. In terms of the human capital, considering the population of Colombia, 51 million inhabitants, we are constantly providing the sector with new talent, and especially young talent. This is very much important, that this is the cornerstone for bilingualism in Colombia, and also for the transition of the sector to create a new existing talent base for the future. So 32% of the Colombian population is between 20 and 39 years old, and we're going to see that in a minute. But this is probably the most important base, line base for bilingual talent availability in Colombia. In terms of bilingualism, of course, Bogota plays the most important role against the whole country in terms of generating this bilingual talent. But the government is committed to improving the country in bilingualism, in creating new policies to strengthen bilingualism skills in other cities. But of course, Bogota plays a key role in this sense. Very much important to mention that from Colombia, we're serving clients in Portuguese, in French, even in German. But the English talent is probably one of the most important assets that we compete with in the BPO industry. This is just a representation of the cost of human capital in comparison to important countries such as Mexico, Brazil, Ecuador, Guatemala, Costa Rica. Natural hubs for BPO operations in Latin America. Colombia offers one of the most competitive human capital cost structure of the region. And this is something that has made the country one of the most attractive destinations of Latin America. In terms of the qualification of the human talent, as I mentioned before, Bogota accounts the major part of the pie in terms of qualifying the talent, in terms of bilingualism levels, in terms of availability of talent in general for the BPO industry. But of course, we have a very competitive offer in countries such as or regions such as Antioquia, Bolívar, Risaralda, Atlántico, Santander, Valle del Cauca, with so many universities constantly training people to serve the industry. So this is a national policy. This is a concern from the government to constantly create talent or constantly develop talent for these purposes. Finally, the regulatory framework in a country, the government, the regulatory authorities have done a lot to constantly strengthen the current labor regulation, especially to strengthen the remote work regulation. So we have a very strong legal framework around remote work that is probably one of the most important or one of the most critical parts for companies, and also important incentives around BPO operations. Deductions, for instance, in the income the general tax bill, the annual tax bill, due to hiring youngsters for the BPO operation, for example, for the Ppo sector, VAT exemptions, given the export of services to be consumed in international markets produced from Colombia, and different incentives applicable, for example, to the free trade zones in Colombia to establish operations and receive these incentives before the government. Finally, there's a natural diversification in the sector. Customer service in English, it's probably one of the most growing verticals for the sector. But of course, we serve different sort of verticals such as telesales, customer service in English, portfolio and connections. The financial sector is becoming super important in Colombia. So we have a natural diversification that enable Colombia to serve the international market. So these are some of the names that have trusted Colombia as the best destination to establish operations in the Americas, to establish these sort of nearshore operations. But I will give the floor to Camilo to explain a little bit more about the value proposition of Bogota as a central hub for these operations. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen with you. Just a moment. Share this one, which is easier. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Camilo Garcia. I'm the Senior Investment Officer for the BPO and IT sectors here at Invest in Bogotá. It's a pleasure for us to be here with you today. Thank you very much to our friends in the Philippines, to CCAP, and to our friends from Colombia. So very briefly, we're Invest in Bogotá. We're the local investment promotion agency for the city of Bogotá. Basically, what we do is to facilitate the attraction and the installment of foreign investment and foreign companies here in the city. We work in different productive sectors, services and IT, life sciences, especially in the health services, cosmetic, pharma, medical devices, manufacturing, with a strong focus on construction materials, food and beverages, infrastructure, also creative industries, which is related to production, post-production, cinema and video games. And we are actively working in promoting dynamic entrepreneurship through venture capital. And also we're promoting biotech and the renewable energy sectors. And so far, we have promoted many, many projects from those different sectors. We have been very lucky and very proactive in promoting the BPO sector. We have some of the biggest players in the industry, as you know, Concentrix, Teleperformance, Untitled, Sutherland. So any major player, you name it, they are probably here. It's because Bogotá is one of the favorite destinations in Latin America for foreign companies willing to relocate or to start operations here due to many factors: our human talent, our tax incentives, and our low barriers for investment, and of course, our strategic location in the middle of the country, and Colombia, as Daniel told you before, in the middle of the Americas. Also, as Daniel told you before, Colombia is expected to be one of the economic leaders in the region. It has been so far in the last year, with economic growth of around 5.8% during the year, which is a bit bigger than the average of the OECD countries, and is expected to grow at a rate higher than any other Latin American countries and the Caribbean countries, around 2.5% more than any other Caribbean country, and higher than other countries such as Argentina for around 4.0%, Uruguay around 3.9%, and Bolivia around 3.8%. We have also a very attractive domestic market since, as Daniel told before, we are the third most populous country in Latin America with more than 51 million inhabitants, and also we have a strong capacity for constantly having a strong availability of labor force. Related to economic performance, well, as I told before, our market is very dynamic. In the past 12 years, the establishment of foreign companies in the country has increased around 200%. Just for you to know, in 2021, more than 307,000 companies were created in the country, and I think, well, we believe that speaks very well about our economic performance and the possibilities that this market has to offer for foreign companies. Bogotá, as you may know, has a very strategic location in the middle of the Americas. Basically, you are 5 hours by plane from any major city, both in North America and South America. We have excellent air connectivity. We have several daily non-stop flights to all major cities and the Americas. And in part, that's why many foreign companies have chosen Bogotá for their regional headquarters, for establishing BPO operations, shared services centers, and logistical hubs to serve both North America and Latin America. Also, we have excellent connectivity and a low chance of having risks with internet connectivity. We have we have 13 internet cables, so you can conduct pretty safe operations here. And also, we are the second country in Latin America with more free trade agreements, around 18 free trade agreements, which grant a preferential access for around 60 countries. That opens the door for a huge market, international market of around 1.5 billion consumers. Regarding Bogotá, we have, well, I think Daniel also mentioned this, we have one of the lowest foreign direct investment restriction indexes, well below the average of other OECD countries. And we have the third place, according to AT Kearney's Global Services Location Indicator in Latin America. We are in the 15th position also in that index that shows financial attractiveness, the availability of human talent, and a very positive business and digital environment. Here you can see who are our main partners in terms of where are we getting the foreign direct investment, mainly the United States and Canada and Mexico, in Europe, mainly from Spain, France, and the United Kingdom. And here you can see that the main sectors that are leading the foreign direct investment in Colombia are mainly the services, the corporate services, and the software and IT sector. Specifically talking about Bogota, well, Bogota is the main hub for BPO and services operations here in Colombia. Colombia, as Daniel also said, is the third largest BPO market in Latin America and the 13th main market in the world, with revenues that are close to $3 billion after Brazil and Mexico. During the last 5 years, the BPO sector here in the country has reached an annual average growth of around 15%. It's one of the fastest growing industries, both in the region and also, of course, in the country. And the services here are mainly focused on Spanish customer service, telesales, and English customer services. Just in Spanish customer services, we have around the 45% of the operations, and English customer services is around 22 to 30% of the total operations. Of course, as you may guess, Bogota is the main BPO cluster in Colombia. We share between the 54 up to 60% of the total revenues of the industry of the country. More than 50% of the companies in the BPO industry are located here in the city. Around 47% of the whole employment in the BPO industry is generated here also in the city, and that's why several multinationals have established their BPO operations and back office operation here in Bogota, or are planning to conduct expansions here in the city, such as Qualcomm, Teleperformance, Axero, Azurion, Lean Solutions, Ethereum, Cytel, well, you name it, probably they are here. And this, and here you can see, well, our main services, the main services delivered to the industry. And where are the industry focused on? Mainly on telecommunications, banking and finance, high-tech, healthcare. We have been seeing during the last 5 years a strong focus and a strong development in the BPO industry, especially for the healthcare sector. And we are seeing some sort of a specialization of the industry in the healthcare sector. Here, as you can see, we are strongly growing our numbers in terms of the share of the market that we have for the industry here. And as you may guess, of course, our main destination market is the United States. We are seeing that many companies are developing operations to serve the US market. We are also growing in the Spanish market, serving companies for other countries in Latin America, also Europe, and this is also related to our time zone, which Daniel also told us a bit before. In terms of labor force, well, we have a very young, skilled workforce, especially here in the city, which ensures the scalability of any kind of operation in the services sector, in BPO, and KPO, and ITO, and also in the IT sector. Just for you to have a measure of the scale of what we have here in Bogota, we have more than 135 higher education institutions, which have the capacity to have around 800,000 students per year, and also 400,000 graduates per year, both at traditional university bachelor's degrees and masters and PhDs, but also technical and technician education. So that's huge. That's a huge pool of labor force for the city, and this number stands out compared to labor force of other cities in the region, including Santiago, Mexico City, and Rio de Janeiro. And we also are lucky because we have a very quite flexible labor regime when you compare it to other countries in the region. And most of the labor force in Colombia is concentrated in Bogota, and also most of the bilingual talent in Colombia. Just in the whole country, we have around 1.5 million bilingual people. I mean, this is people which has a B2 or beyond English level. Most of them are here in Bogota. So basically what we have here is a strong bilingual talent for scaling up any operation in the BPO sector. I think that's it. I don't want to bore you with more numbers. Here you can find our contact details, so please feel free to contact us at any time, and thank you very much.
All right, gracias. Gracias, Camilo. Daniel, thank you so much. I think, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going into a more exciting part of our session for tonight. We are going to into a panel discussion. I will to introduce half of our panelists from the Philippine side. I'd like to introduce one of our board trustees for CCAP, or the Contact Center Association of the Philippines. He is also the Chief Operations and Sales Officer of Inspiro, Mr. Romel Regino, and also the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Infinito, Mr. Richard Eldridge. Beatriz, would you like to introduce the guest from Colombia?
Yes, thank you, Jay. The panelist for today from our side is Diego Pinzon, BPO Sector Management from Colombia Productiva, and Jair Holguin, Talent Acquisition Manager from Asturias, Colombia. Thank you, Diego and Jair, for taking the time to be here today.
All right. And moderating this session, ladies and gentlemen, one of the top executives of our industry here in the Philippines. She is the Chief Executive Officer of Microsourcing and BPO, and an industry veteran from the beautiful island of Palawan in the Philippines. Very good beaches, Miss Heidi Enriquez. Heidi, please take it away.
Hola, friends, amigos and amigas. That's the extent of my Spanish. So, so please do not force me to speak some more. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening, this afternoon, this day. And Jay is right. I'm calling in from Coron, Palawan. So I'm thinking, we were talking to Beatriz earlier, and we said that, hey, in the Philippines, particularly contact center industry, we try to engage with each other in a less formal manner. So I'm hoping that we can follow suit in the conduct of this panel interview to try and be as interactive as possible. So maybe to begin with, you know. And by the way, I was telling Beatriz earlier that I had to remind myself, and even now I have to remind myself that we have participants who are interested to know both about the Philippines and about Colombia, specifically Bogota, because I'm coming in with a little bit of a selfish motive, because I have a keen interest in Bogota. So when I was writing all of my questions, I found that I only had one question for the Filipino panelists, and probably around a dozen questions for our Bogota panelists. So I will try to be as fair as possible in the allotment of time and questions in the next 30 minutes or so. So first up, maybe panelists, just tell us a little bit about the company that you're representing, and what is your particular interest in this session. Rommel, why don't you start?
Yes, thank you, Heidi, and it's a good segue. You're making my life easier by doing that setup, as you said. But I think we're doing this because I believe this is good information sharing, and I know a number of our members are continuously looking at options, locations, similarly to us. So, I'm the Chief Operations and Sales Officer of Inspiro. And what we are seeing, with what happened and the pandemic and all, there's a lot of diversification happening from a footprint perspective. And what is interesting is that at least in our realm, there seems to be a lot of interest now, particularly in the Latin America space, uh, uh, to make sure that there's a good business continuity plan footprint from a client perspective. And what we saw also is that over the last few years, the Spanish language has become one of the important language support that our existing clients are looking at. And within the Latin America, they're also expecting its own internal business continuity plan within that particular location. I think simply because there's I think the news that are available right now, there are certain risks that's being weighed, particularly from the shareholders. So there's that interest as well to make sure that it's also diversified. That's why Colombia, at least for our perspective, when we were doing our selection process, Colombia is in the shortlist.
Okay, so but thank you for that, Rommel. But at this point in time, does Inspiro have any operations at all within the Latin Americas?
Yes, in fact, it's one of the growth areas that we have right now. We just opened a new office there, and it's already full. We started with about 300 seater, and it's now full, and we're looking at expanding it again.
Yeah. So this is exactly in Bogota, you're saying?
No, in Nicaragua.
Oh, in Nicaragua. Okay. Thank you for that, Rommel. Richard, how about you?
Hi, everyone. So I think from our perspective, we focus on very high-end tasks in the healthcare sector, in the financial services sector mainly. And until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, English was okay, our clients were happy. And as we've taken over more of the end-to-end processes, our clients have been asking us to basically be bilingual in the service. We can take over maybe 80% of it and then it stops. So they've asked us to complete that entire cycle, and we need a Spanish solution. We started and we hired Spanish-speaking people in the Philippines, but the talent dries up very, very quickly, as you know.
Correct.
So we started exploring just before COVID. Two of our clients were pushing us there. Things slowed down during COVID, but now they're back up asking us to see how we can now expand our presence across not just being bilingual, but also having quite a lot of experience in financial analysis, healthcare and medical kind of backgrounds as well. So that's my interest, and I think our interest to understand a little bit more about the higher level tasks that can be done in Colombia.
Yep, and it was very exciting to see or to listen to the presentations earlier because clearly those high-end level talent seems to be available in Latin America, particularly in Colombia, in Bogota. Okay, how about Diego?
Thank you, Heidi, and good morning to you all. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you for the invitation to this panel. I work with Colombia Productiva. I'm the manager for the BPO sector. Colombia Productiva is an entity of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Tourism of Colombia. We work in order to support companies to be more productive, to have better quality, and to improve their added value to the products and services. We have been working with the BPO sector for the last 12 to 14 years. This sector was selected by the Colombian government in 2008, and it's been very positive for the country. in terms of employment, exports, and economic growth. So I've had the chance to work with this industry for the last 6 years, and this space, this scenario that as I was invited to, I see it as a chance to understand how the Philippines BPO industry is, to learn about the best practices in the industry, and hopefully to start and establish strategic alliances with the actors of the BPO industry in Philippines.
Okay. Thank you very much, Diego. You know, during the presentation earlier, one of the things that caught my attention was the mention of SENA, SENA, like the towards bilingualism, and that's something that is really of interest to me. I'll get back to you later, so
Okay.
you can talk a little bit more about that, because I think particularly given that in the Philippines, well, we're sort of naturally bilingual, but we still are having some challenges when it comes to filling the requirements of our industry, particularly when it comes to bilingual type of work. So I'll get back to you on that. But at this point in time, Yair, your turn.
Good morning, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me today, having us. I come from Assurian. We are a technological insurance company based in the States. This month, we are celebrating our first anniversary in Colombia. We launched operations August 2021, and we are extremely happy to be here. Same as you guys mentioned before, we needed to diversify our service. We had operations in the Philippines and the States. And again, the need of taking care of our Hispanic-speaking customers in the States made Colombia the perfect choice for Assurian to have operations. So now what we do, we provide customer service and tech support in both English and Spanish. And of course, we also sell. So it's kind of the mixed, the perfect combination on the industry right now. And again, we're very happy to be here. We have our sites in the Philippines, and we both take a good care of our customers in the States.
Yeah, thank you for that, Yair. When I saw the company that you were representing, when I was reviewing the briefing file, I know exactly the question that I would ask you, because I know of some of Assurian's operations here in the Philippines. By the way, before I deep dive into some of my questions, I just would like to remind the audience that we have the chat box. I am monitoring it as I speak. So if you have any questions for any of our of the members of our panel, please feel free to write them here, even if it's in Spanish, because we have Beatriz here who can translate. So she will become the de facto translator for me if need be. So one of the things that has happened throughout during the pandemic was the sudden, because at least in the Philippines we weren't expecting the shift was going to happen to work from home or hybrid mode of work. I'd like to understand probably from each of the probably Rommel in your side of the fence, in what is and as a representative of the Contact Center Association of the Philippines in this panel, what's the current situation? Maybe share situation insofar as hybrid type of working is concerned in the Philippines, and based on what you're seeing, where do you see this lead of not just our talents but also our BPO companies, contact center companies operating in the Philippines to embrace this mode of work?
Yes, thanks for that, Heidi. And there's a lot of dynamics, a lot of factors that have and continues to evolve when it comes to this hybrid environment. And we are hard at work in putting something probably more long-term and stable. And I think it's a given fact now that the hybrid is here to stay. I think it allows a very good flexibility on on the general work population. It allows you to consider certain locations at a virtual setup, which probably was a limitation before. And as far as the industry is concerned, I think it's settling in this kind of a setup where it's a mix of both virtual and on-site. And I do not see any other situation or any other model at this point that will ensure that the country remains competitive and at the same time allows that level of flexibility that our clients are looking for.
Yeah. In terms of mix, between in-center and work at home or hybrid, do you have any figures out there as to how this mix would look like probably in a year or so?
I think the way I see it, or as I have observed it, there is a sort of a sort of acceptance already in terms of a mix that's probably at the very least maybe a 50-50. That's how I see it. Simply because there are really certain processes that we are doing right now, and we're heavily exposed to these certain verticals that that cannot be done in the in a virtual environment.
Yeah.
However, those that are fairly sure that it can be done at a virtual setup, I think it will be an easy decision because there's a lot more flexibility around that. Again, we're hearing a lot of numbers, but I think across the enterprise, that's kind of what at least I'm observing from the members.
Okay. And Richard, in your case, your company is engaged in higher level type of work. Do you see the same trend happening?
So we see, a few data points. So we continue to do pulse surveys. Our employees continuously give us feedback that over 90% want some form of hybrid. And we've seen it with the attrition, which has remained very low during and after COVID, that's what they want. I think, speaking to the clients, we have for all of our positions, including the super high, and we deal with very confidential information, less than 5% that are requiring on-site. Again now, and these are positions that were forced to be on-site in 2020, and now the clients are saying, well, actually, we don't need to. That was a struggle at the start, but that remains. So I see that the percentage for the majority of use cases we see and across the industry is going to remain much higher than 50%. I think the question for me is, within hybrid, is how often do they come back to the office?
Yeah.
And what is the purpose of the office when they're there? That's one question. The second question then is BCP and what happens when potentially there is a challenge in someone's home, and where are they going to go and work, assuming they're further away than they used to live from a physical location. Those are kind of the two things that I don't think. And finally, the culture and how you maintain culture in a hybrid environment. Those are the three big questions that I haven't seen answered properly.
Yeah. So at least from what I'm hearing on the Philippine side of the fence, hybrid, permanent work from home is here to stay. But just like many other countries, probably we're still trying to figure out the hows and whys and the wherefores of that. Given that this situation is relatively new for us. Now, Yair, in your case, you are in the front line of recruiting, which, by the way, I'd like to believe, based on my experience, is the most difficult job in the contact center space. I lived that life before. That's why I left it behind. I went for an easier job now, being a CEO. I'd rather be a CEO rather than head of recruiting. I kid you not. So what is it that you're seeing in the Colombia market? Has the sentiment changed? And then after a year, Diego, I'd like for you, I'm hoping you can talk about how, I mean, what's the government doing to support this new mode of work? Because there was a slide earlier that was pretty interesting, and about some of the, like, the ecosystem pertaining to work from home or hybrid mode of work that it seems the government is heavily involved in. So after a year, we'd go to you to talk about that. Yes, Yair.
Okay, Heidi. So I know, as you mentioned, the hybrid or the work from home model, so it's here to stay. But then we got to take a different approach from the BPO standpoint, because as you all know, our peers from the BPO industry, you know that we have line of businesses where we handle sensitive information. We have to comply with PCI, SPI, and then we got to find the perfect balance where we keep people on site, and we may have clients with the possibility to send people to work from home. And then we also need to find a way to evolve with those traditional clients we may have to transition to the hybrid model. So we can provide or give our candidates what they want, because that's what they want right now. And we see that we're struggling a lot filling out classes with the brick and mortar requirement, because they do not want to come to the site. They are not willing to spend an hour, 2 hours stuck in traffic just to come to work. Or maybe we have to provide different benefits, different than salary. So emotional salary. So they feel identified with the culture of the company, and they are willing to go to the site and work, not only for the money, just because they want to work from the site, same as they want to stay at home. So we gotta be very careful. And I know you said it's difficult. Yes, it is, but I don't see it as difficult. I would say challenging, and we all make a difference with these young people trying to get their first shot at the industry. And we have amazing benefits, not only my company, but all the companies in the industry here in Colombia. And we had a great opportunity for all the young, talented people to come start their professional careers with us.
Yeah. So different geographies, seemingly same problem that we're facing. So Diego, let's probably dovetail also on one of the questions here that was asked. Thank you very much, Heather, for asking this question. Her question is related to how the government responded to the pandemic and what sort of support was provided to the industry during the time of the pandemic, and then probably talk a little bit about work from home, because I think it's related, and what the government did or what the government is doing or is planning to do to help support this new mode of work that everyone in this panel is agreeing is here to stay.
All right, then. Thank you. It was a great challenge, not only for the BPO industry, but for all economic sectors of Colombia. As we had to close the doors, as we had to work and to take all people home. And as you know, in the BPO industry, that is not easy, especially because of the client's requirements in terms of the security of information. But this sector was seen as an essential services. So it had some kind of special treatment in Colombia. We had to design and we created a biosecurity protocol work in their offices. after we established this protocol, we go back to the offices. After a year, we were closed in Colombia. So that was a good measure we established here, the creation of these biosecurity protocols. But we also changed our regulation about working from home in order to help companies to make it easier for them, not so expensive from their homes. We have been working in Colombia Productiva, ProColombia, and all the other entities of the trade industry and economic ecosystem to provide different tools for the companies in this new era after pandemic. Because we know it's not the same, and it is quite hard for companies to attract and to keep the employees now that after the pandemic they have seen that working from home is well, it has a lot of benefits. So we have been working to create different tools to help the companies in areas of productivity, operational excellence, quality standards. So the clients don't feel that they are receiving something different from what they were expecting to. We have a program called well, in English it should be something like Factories of Productivity, where we provide technical assistance to the companies about 80 to 100 hours to go make, to begin with, they make a diagnostic of the company to see what are their key areas and the critical areas of the company and the operations. And then some consultants, experts in those areas provide the technical assistance. This program have helped about 4,000 companies in the last 4 years, and we have improved our KPIs about 30 to 35%. So it's a good way of helping the companies. And that's the kind of things we do from Colombia Productiva.
Yeah, and that's free of charge? I mean, you provide these consulting services free of charge to the different companies?
We pay for most of it, about 80 to 85%, but the rest should be paid by the companies themselves. It shouldn't be more than around $1,000. It's not that expensive for a company, no matter if they are large or small.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Diego. Now, let me go back to you, Yair, given that you've had experience, at least Asurion has had experience operating in both geographies that are represented in this call, Bogota as well as the Philippines. Based on your experience, what are some of the key similarities and key differences operating in the BPO market between these two countries?
I would say we both provide excellent customer service to our callers, to our clients. And as you mentioned at the beginning of the call, we are pretty similar. Our culture, it is pretty much the same. But I would say the biggest difference is that we are close to the states, closer to the states geographically, and I would say the cultural affinity per se from Colombia to the states, as we are closer to them. I would say that's the key, the main key point, and also the ability to speak both English and Spanish. That gives us a plus per se, because we don't have to hire two different agents to take care of the same customer. So they hang up a call in English, then they receive a call in Spanish, and they're able to take the call and assist the customer in the best possible way. So different than that, I know we both have same challenges when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to operations, and I would say in the Philippines, you guys are more, what could I say, committed. And I know if we compare the attrition rates from Colombia to the Philippines, talking about Assyrian, the Philippines has a lower attrition rate than Colombia.
Okay.
So I would say, I don't know what you guys do in the Philippines, but we're trying to partner up with my team in the Philippines to mimic what you're doing so we can reduce our attrition rates.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that, Yaya. Romel, although your operations is not exactly in Colombia, although I know you mentioned that you're looking into it. Yeah, so not yet. Any same question for you. Have you seen any differences, similarities between your operations in the Philippines and in LATAM?
So
What are some of the things, for example, maybe highlight on what are some of the things that Filipino contact center operators like us who are planning to move our operations or expand our operations in the LATAM region will have to look out for and be ready for?
Right. So, just to dovetail on the similar experiences, we're seeing the same in our current location in terms of competition. There's a lot of demand in terms of hiring, and it's interesting though that at least from what we are seeing, and our setup in our current location is 90% on site, because again the nature of the work we do is requires it on site, and the attrition that we are seeing is fairly comparable to what we have right now here in the Philippines, slightly above but fairly the same. Looking at about 5% per month for an on-site population. So we saw that there's probably good view of how our team in Nicaragua seeing this as a career, and that's why I think we continue to see some of the rather stable situation. So I do believe that if we want to have that same level of experience of what we are seeing here in the Philippines, I realize that if you apply the same attention to your employees, that genuine care, we call it malasakit here, Heidi. And maybe because our company is Filipino born, so the values are coming from here. I feel it's helping it at a retention perspective. Our offer rate is competitive, but definitely we are not the highest paying in that particular location.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you, Rommel. Now, Richard, you mentioned earlier during your intro that Latin America, Colombia, Bogota, you're looking into that as a potential for BCP as well as business expansion. Let me ask you this: what as a business leader who's had experience not just in the Philippines but in other countries, what would you say are the top 3 things that really that you're looking at that would tell you, yes, since Bogota has it, I will go there? What are your 3 must-haves in your next location?
Perfect. Yeah, and that's an easy one because we've shortlisted a number of countries, and Colombia came up top. But talent availability is always number one of our specific requirements. So this is not just general. How many people speak English and Spanish? It's more subject. It's more specific than that for us. They have to have how many people do you have with financial analysis? How many people do you have in the medical healthcare practice who also speak Spanish and English, for example? So that's number one. Number two is cost competitiveness of those talents in the market versus other markets. And I think the third one is stability in the country. And I think that's stability of geopolitical infrastructure, all of the kind of the macro rails you need to run on in an organization. So those are three must-haves we look at, as well as a few others, obviously.
Yeah, and since you mentioned that you've done all your research here, so all of the other participants here who would like to look into the Latin America's region, maybe reach out to Richard so that he can make your job easier. He can share the results probably of those researches with you. Now Richard, you hit on one point here that one of fans. I think there's also someone named Richard. Sorry, Steve. Okay. Wanted me to ask a question on. So this has to do with safety and security in Colombia. As you know, all of the geographies, even the Philippines, we've suffered some form of preconceived negative perception. Like, believe it or not, in the Philippines, we have certain locations, certain islands in the Philippines that really have good labor availability, stable internet connection, but then it's quite difficult to get clients to agree to locate in those islands or in these provinces because of some negative press that has hit the international market. I'm sure it's similar to what has happened in Colombia. So can you, as Steve here, thank you, Steve, for asking this question. Can you talk a little bit more about safety and security in Bogota as compared to other LATAM countries, and in general, what is the government doing to counter or to change these whatever negative perceptions that there might be prevailing about safety and security in the country?
No, well, the truth is major crime rates have shown a significant reduction in the last few years. So Colombia is a pretty safe country. Most of the operations of the BPO industries are located in major cities of Colombia, which are quite safe. I mean, you will find, of course, petty crimes and the common problems that all major cities are facing, but the country is pretty safe. ProColombia will tell you all about the strategies that have been the government is doing to change this negative thing that involves the name of Colombia for decades. But right now, it's seen as a very safe country, and we're happy to bring all of the travelers and everyone who wants to be here, because we know that you will be safe here and you will be welcome. So no worries about that. There are some comments in the chat about that the people feel more safe here than in cities in the US. So it's okay.
Yes, there's a comment here actually, and Patrick Brandabor certainly agrees with you. He's inviting everyone to go to Bogota to see what an amazing city it is. Now, Patrick, I know that we're at 10:25 here in the Philippines, so probably just one last comment before I turn things over to our MCs. Patrick made a comment here that he recently read about a partnership with BPOs and universities in Antigua. I probably murdered the name there, to focus on bilingualism and utilizing it as co-op for training people to leave the BPO and join the company they work for. So he's asking, is this taking place elsewhere, such as in Bogota? And is this in any way related to the SENA that I was gonna ask you about earlier, Diego, because that seems so interesting. Can you talk a little bit about that?
By all means. Yeah, but bilingualism is a challenge, no doubt about it, for Colombia and for all the countries that are working to establish a BPO industry, large operations. There are some programs and initiatives going on in major cities like Bogota, Barranquilla, Medellin, which is part of Antioquia, the state they were talking about in the comment. Cali in Valle del Cauca. But this requires a national strategy. This requires a lot of efforts, both from the private sector and the government. And that's what we are working on with the new government. We have a change of government just a few days ago. And we are talking to the Ministry of Education, in the Ministry of Commerce as well. But this will take, this will need the help of the cities. This will need the local entities to work with. And that's what we are going to be doing in the next 4 years. About SENA, SENA is the National Service for Education and Vocational Education in Colombia that provides free education, professional education for people. And SENA has a technical bilingual program for business process, which is quite interesting. I mean, it's really good for us because there are there are just a few programs bilingual for technical education, and SENA has one of these. And they are preparing people to work as customer services agents in English. The problem with this is not large enough. It's about scale. We need to be preparing more people, like thousands of people, because we know there are job opportunities if you prepare them in English for BPO operations. But SENA is doing it, and they have some virtual programs as well, open for everyone.
For free?
For free, because companies pay for SENA. This is a paralegal fee that they have to pay. So people who wants to take any of their courses don't have to pay anything for them.
Oh wow, that's very, very interesting. I'm part of the talent development committee of the BPO industry. So this is very, very interesting to me. I'd love to hear more about it. Maybe I'll just connect with you separately. But unfortunately, our time is up. The discussion is very interesting. This could have lasted hours and hours, but Jay here is gonna kill me if I extend this any further. Some of them need to sleep. At least in our side of the fence, particularly those that are within the same age group as Jay. so at this juncture, thank you everyone, Rob, Richard, Yair, Diego, for your selfless sharing of information and insight about your respective operations and about the country that you're representing. We do hope that this particular endeavor, this particular meeting, will serve as a jump off point for more collaboration and more knowledge and insight sharing across our two countries, because clearly there's a lot, as this session has shown, there's a lot that we can learn from each other. So thank you again very much. Now back to you, Jay and Beatriz.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. That was interesting, Beatriz, right? Very interesting.
That's very productive sessions, and thank you all for sharing with us all this experience and knowledge from the one of the most important market for BPO sector. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and before we let you go, everybody, we just like to invite you, the Contact Center Association of the Philippines. If you want to learn more about the BPO industry in the Philippines, we are inviting you on October 19 and 21, 2020 at the Crimson Resort and Spa, one of the beautiful islands of the Philippines. We have a conference there. We will send the details through Pro Colombia, and Beatrice, you can share the information on how you can join. So we will see you there and learn more about how we do things, and we can exchange knowledge. So Beatrice, thank you so much. This has been an interesting experience.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. And we are looking to hearing from you and to assist you in any plan that you have to establish an operation in Colombia, or just to visit us and enjoy our country.
Yeah, I like the word visit Colombia. Yeah, maybe we can do that. And maybe this is the start of a beautiful, relationship between the Philippines and Colombia, between CCAP and Pro Colombia and the other agencies of Colombia. So,
Jay,
gracias
This
a
will
todos.
be
Yes.
the first one of many
Yes.
to come.
First one of many.
Yes,
I'd
Mitch.
like to remind everybody that if you have more questions about Colombia, please just course it to Jay and Beatrice. Maybe we can share contact details. So who will be the single point of contact for both groups? So if there are further questions or interest or visits that may happen, we'd be glad to host you guys here, and Beatrice would host all of you there as well in Colombia. So thank you again for this evening, a great event, and first of many. Thank you.
Yes. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Buenos días en Colombia.
Yeah, de Manila.
Thanks
Gracias
for
a todos. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Nice. Galing niya.
Somos Investing Bogotá. Somos agencia de promoción, de inversión, una iniciativa público-privada de la Cámara de Comercio. Esto fue Bogotá, Amiga Ideas Web, espacio digital de comunicación, usar nuestro talento, resaltar el impacto de nuestras empresas y emprendimientos, destacar nuestros proyectos de ciudad y demostrar el potencial que Bogotá ofrece para empresarios e inversionistas de todo el mundo.
Hi, let me show you a special place. I'm going to talk to you about that place in Latin America, the capital of Colombia. That country you might have heard mentioned in the news and in the movies. That country has now changed. And its capital, Bogotá, well, it's what makes it shine even more. Bogotá is a big city, and I mean big because there are more than 11 million of us. We have big dreams, projects, and companies, as well as big festivals and big mountains. We also have big talent. We are the region's entrepreneurship capital, the continent's new business hub, and a UNESCO City of Music. Because on top of being kind and friendly, every day our people show their ability to work on innovative and creative ideas that transform the world. Today we are ready to keep growing and welcome other great companies so that we can do things better together. In the last few years, we've received over 1,500 foreign companies, such as Scotiabank, Medtronic, H&M, Amazon, L'Oreal, and Diageo, amongst others, that through their capabilities, technologies, and by generating high-quality employment, have helped the economy to keep growing so that more companies, tourists, and students come to Bogotá. And like all good Latinos, we know how to enjoy life. The best Latin nightlife and live music, world-class restaurants, 6 open-air festivals of different music styles, professional film, music, arts, fashion, and food markets.
Hey, because here we call chicken soup ajiaco, cheese buns almojábana, and buses, well, Transmilenio. I would like to show you more things, but I know you don't have that much time. That's why I'd like to invite you to discover more about us and see that what I'm telling you is true. That's in the words of those who dare to do business with us. Those who set out on an adventure to explore, discover, savor, and have fun in Bogota. We are here to help you set up in Bogota, succeed in business, and discover the huge opportunities that the city holds. And this is our team. Say hi, guys.
The best partner you can find.